Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Nihal. Let's discuss one of the most important interview question in Web API. Explain token-based authentication in Web API. Authentication is the process of verifying the identity of a user before allowing access to protected resources. One of the most widely used authentication mechanism in modern Web API is token-based authentication, and the most common token format is JWT, which stands for JSON Web Token. The basic idea is very simple. Instead of storing user session on the server generates a token after successful login. The client store that token and send it with every API request. If the token is valid, server allow access to the protected resources. If token is invalid or expired, the server reject the request. Now let's understand why JWT authentication is so popular. So let's discuss advantage of JWT authentication. The first advantage is security. JWT token are digitally signed, which makes them difficult to modify or tamper with. The second advantage is stateless authentication. The server doesn't store any session information. Every request contains all the information required to authenticate the user. This makes API highly scalable. Another advantage is no server session storage. Unlike say session authentication, the server does not need to remember logged in user, reducing server memory usage. JWT also work very well with web application, mobile application, single page application like Angular or React. It is also an excellent choice for microservices architecture because multiple services can validate the same token independently. Since there is a no session lookup, authentication become faster. Another benefit is cross-platform support. Any application built using Java, .NET, Python, Node.js or any other technology can easily understand and validate the JWT token. Because of this advantage, JWT authentication is preferred over the traditional session-based authentication for modern APIs. Now let's understand the complete JWT authentication flow shown in a diagram. This is the most important part from an interview perspective. Let's go through each step. So step 1, client sends login request. The process start when the user enter their username and password. The client application send as a login request to the server. For example, post API auth login. This request contain the user credential. Step 2, server validate credential. The API receives the request. Now the server verify whether the username and password are correct. Usually it checks the user information from the database. If the credentials are correct, the server immediately return if the credentials are incorrect, the server immediately return 401 unauthorized. If the credentials are valid, it proceed to the next step. After that, we have a step 3, server generates JWT token. In that, after successful authentication, the server create a JWT token. While generating the token, the server include important information called claims. Some common claims are user ID, username, user role, email, and expiration time. Finally, the server signs the token using secret key. The digital signature ensure that nobody can modify the token. The generated JWT token is then sent back to the client. In step 4, client store the token. After receiving the JWT token, the client store it safely. Depending on the application, It can be stored in local storage, session storage, secure cookies, or in the memory. The client will use this token for future API request. After that, we have step 5. Client sends token with the every API request. In that, the client accesses the protected API. It sends the token inside the HTTP authorization header. The header looks like authorization, and we need to pass bearer and the token. The word bearer tells the server that a JWT token is being sent. This is the standard way of passing JWT token. After that, we have step 6. Server validates the token. Every protected API first validate the incoming JSON token. The server check is the token digitally signed correctly. Has the token expired? Was it issued by the correct issuer? Is the audience valid? If all validation pass, the token is considered as a valid. After that, we in step 7, server processes the request. Once authentication is successful, the server execute the requested API. For example, to get employee list, the server fetches the requested data from the database and return the response like 200 OK along with the employee data. In step 8, invalid or expired token. If the token is expired, invalid, modified, or missing, the server immediately reject the request and client receive 401 unauthorized and access to be protected resources denied. Now let's understand the structure of JWT token. A JWT consists of a three part separated by dots. First one is a header, second one is a payload, and third one is the signature. Let's understand each part. So first part is the header. The header contains metadata about the token. It specifies the token type, which is JWT, and the signing algorithm such as HS256. Second part, we have the payload. The payload contains the claims. Claims represent information about the user. For example, it include user ID, username, role, email, expiration time. Remember, payload data is base64 encoded, not encrypted. Anyone can decode it, so sensitive information like password should never be stored inside the payload. After that, we have the third part, which is signature. The signature is the most important part. It is created using the header, payload, and a secret key. The signature ensures that the token has not been modified. If someone changes even one character inside the token, the signature validation fails and the request rejects and server rejects the request. Benefit of JWT. Some major advantages are stateless authentication, better scalability, high security, lightweight communication, and cross-platform compatibility. And that's why JWT is widely used in ASP.NET Core API, Angular application, React application, mobile applications, cloud application, and microservices. Important best practices are whenever you use JWT authentication, always remember these best practices. Always use HTTP to protect tokens during transmission. Never expose your secret key. Set an appropriate expiration time for token. Use refresh token for long running session. Never store sensitive information inside the JWT payload. Now let's discuss interview tips. If interviewer asks why is JWT preferred over a session authentication, You can answer like JWT is stateless, scalable, lightweight, and doesn't require server-side session storage. Since every request carries its own authentication information, it's ideal for cloud application, microservices, and distributed system. To summarize the complete authentication flow, first the user login using credential, the server validates the credential, the server generate a signed JWT token, the client store the token, every API request send a token inside the authorization header, server validates the token, if validate the requested resource is returned, if invalid or expired the server respond with 401 unauthorized. That's it all for this video. If you found this explanation helpful, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel. We'll see you in next web API interview question. Thank you.